Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a really profound passage from the Quran that uses the language of the cosmos to tell the story of humanity. It's an idea that asks us to kind of zoom out and look at our own history in a totally new way.
So, let's start with this oath from the Quran. It's beautiful, but also a little mysterious, right? I mean, on the surface it seems pretty straightforward. It's just describing a sunset. But what if it's more than that? What if it's actually a map of human history itself? So to really get this, the source material tells us we have to look past the literal words. We need to see the huge picture it's painting about time and truth and this long journey humanity's been on, coming out of the dark.
Now, that first word, shafaq, is really key. It's not talking about sunrise, which you might expect. It's specifically the red glow after the sun has already disappeared from the horizon. It's that moment when the light is fading away just before the darkness really takes over.
And this, right here, is the big question, the one the passage really wants us to think about. Is this just some beautiful poetry about the evening, or is there something way deeper hidden in this celestial imagery, a story about all of us?
Okay, so let's really get into this analogy. According to the interpretation we're looking at, every single piece of this oath, the twilight, the night, the full moon, it all lines up with a major era in our spiritual history.
And this timeline lays it out perfectly. The twilight, that's like the leftover light from prophets who came before. Then, the night swoops in, a 600-year gap, a period of spiritual darkness where there's no new guidance. And then, you get the full moon, and that represents the arrival of the Prophet Muhammad, bringing this bright, clarifying new light into the world.
And here's another really cool layer to this. The Quran points out that the moon's light is a reflection, right? It doesn't create its own light, which is a pretty amazing scientific insight for that time. But metaphorically, it's brilliant. It frames this new guidance as a reflection of a much higher divine source of truth. But okay, here's the twist. The story doesn't just stop with the full moon. Not at all. The source explains that this whole journey towards complete light, well, it's still happening, and we're all a part of it. See, the Quran says humanity is going to keep progressing stage by stage. So our progress, in science and reason and how we think about morality, it's not seen as something separate from this divine plan. It's actually a part of it, a continuation of this march toward truth.
I mean, just think about some of the examples from our source, the way we now understand the full damage alcohol can do, physically, psychologically, socially, or the way we as a species have intellectually and morally rejected something like slavery. Even our understanding of the universe, like how heavy metals are literally forged in dying stars, all of this is seen as humanity becoming more rationalized, as the source puts it. We're just continuing that journey stage by stage. Okay, and all of this leads us to maybe the most powerful and honestly challenging idea in the source material. It's a complete reframing of what it really means to be a disbeliever.
So you have this Arabic word, kafir, that usually gets translated as disbeliever or infidel. But its original root, it actually referred to a farmer. And what does the farmer do? They take a seed and they hide it. They conceal it in the soil. So the core idea here is about the act of hiding something.
So what does that mean in this context? A kafir isn't someone who's just ignorant or someone who's genuinely still searching for the truth. Nope. According to this view, it's someone who has understood a truth. They believe it in their heart, but then they actively hide it or deny it to the world. It's a kind of intellectual dishonesty.
And this distinction is absolutely crucial. A non-believer, that could be anyone who's still on their journey, still investigating. But the kafir, the person the Quran is really condemning here, that's the person who hides a belief they already have. So it's a condemnation of hiding the truth, not of seeking it.
And this quote from our source just nails the idea. Deep in his heart, if you go, he's a believer. Kufr is a state where somebody believed and they hid the belief in them. So you see, the problem isn't a lack of faith, it's betraying the faith you already have.
So, where does this all leave us? What's the big takeaway for us today, right here in our own stage of this journey?
Well, it basically flips the whole script on what faith is about. The greatest virtue here isn't just believing something blindly, it's the exact opposite. It's about using your mind, your reason, to recognize what's true, and then having the moral guts to stand up for that truth, not hide it away. So faith isn't about switching off your brain, it's about having the integrity to follow where your brain and your heart lead you.
All right, so let's just recap this whole thing. We started with a cosmic oath about the sky.
which turned into a timeline for human history. We saw how our own progress in science and morality is actually part of that unfolding story. And it all led to this powerful idea that true disbelief isn't about ignorance, but about hiding what you know to be true, which makes intellectual honesty the ultimate challenge.
And that leaves us with a big question to think about. If all of human history is this journey, this stage-by-stage unveiling of light and truth, then what's our part in it? Right now, today, what truths, big or small, are we being asked to find and to have the courage to stand for?